Good evening. We're back with another episode of the Lord of the Rings LCG Progression Series. Tonight's a card review of Druadan Forest. So let's dive in and take a look. The hero for this adventure pack is Mirlond. This is the second adventure pack of the Against the Shadow cycle, first being Steward's Fear. Mirlond is 8 threat, 2/2/1, 3 health. So she's understated for what we're looking for. 8 threat is nice, but only 2 questing, 2 attack. That's half of what we'd like for a good hero. So if we played her, we'd be playing her for her ability. Each hero you control with a printed resource icon gets -1 threat. So that would effectively reduce her to 5 if you play Monosphere resources. Interesting. So would that make secrecy viable in some resource decks? Let's take a look at what other heroes resource has to offer. Alright, so if we're playing progression style up to this point, here are the other lore heroes available. So if she's 5 effectively, we have 15 to work with the other heroes. Elrond's no, Glorfindel's no. Could run like Denethor Bilbo. Barivor. No, can't run Barivor. Bifur would be 12, and then Denethor. There's not a good combination right now for a secrecy deck. I'm asking because I'm running secrecy right now and enjoying it. You could get like, let's see, like an Elrond, Mirlond, or maybe, let's see, if you ran Glorfindel, you'd be at 30 with those 3. That could be strong. I don't know about Monosphere resource though. How would it quest? Most quests, most of the quests respond well to power questing decks. Power card draw, it's more for a drawn out game. You're not going to have time to use all of the cards that you would draw in solo play. Because solo play games tend to be over quickly before they have time to overwhelm you. So I like the hero for its low threat cost. Interesting combinations are possible, but at the present time, I don't think Monosphere resource or Monosphere lore is the way to go. Generally, like in a one deck to rule them all sense, but there's going to be a lot of quests where that might make sense. Keep this hero in mind for the future for combos with other heroes, but only because of her low threat. Her stats aren't good. Just the low threat is good. 5 threat is very good. But I don't think she's good outside of a Monosphere. And at the moment, I don't think Monosphere lore is the way to go. 4 long. 3 cost, 1/1/1 Outlands. When you control Outlands allies that belong to 4 different spheres, ready 4 long at the beginning of each phase. Well, it's obviously a very strong ability. However, controlling Outlands allies from 4 different spheres is going to take a while to set up. If you manage to set that up, you're probably already winning the game, which makes 4 long probably a win more card. Like, if you actually get the circumstances where you can take advantage of his ability, you're not going to need it. Now, he does still get the Outlands benefits in the meantime. He's overcosted, though, compared to other Outlands cards by 1. And I'm sure he's overcosted because of his ability, but you have to set up his ability, and he's also unique. So the Outland's weakness is that it takes a while to set up. This doesn't change anything. If anything, it just supports that notion that Outlands takes a while to set up, and anything that takes a while to set up is weak in solo. Because a lot of times you need your deck hitting the ground running on turn 1. Maybe turn 2, and if you haven't done that, you're sunk, depending on the quest, and this is obviously not going to change that for Outlands. Whether this isn't going to change, Outland's strength turn 1 or turn 2, which is its weakness, as its hero starts at 1/1/1, and the cards need each other to buff up. So like Dwarves, it's 2 weak early in solo play to take on the very hardest quests in the game, but we'll keep an eye on Outlands and see what other stuff comes out, because I like the concept. Strength of Arms, 2 cost, play only if each hero you control is, so it's a monosphere leadership card. Ready each ally in play. Fantastic card. Unless you're not running many allies at all, I'd play this in every monosphere leadership deck, I think. Would I? Probably. Does leadership have good allies? Yeah, it's cheap. Readying cards is amazing. I've been playing decks that are pretty heavy in allies. It could be I'm wrong about this, but I don't think so. I think you'd run this in every monosphere leadership deck. Now, monosphere leadership isn't strong yet, but if they're going to focus on that, it may be in the future. So I'd keep this card in mind. Could even be an essential card if there's a good monosphere leadership deck in the future. I don't think there is right now, but this would be a strong card in most monosphere leadership decks, if not all. Mighty Prowess, 1 cost, playable in a monoship, attached to a tactics hero. Limit 1 per hero. After attached hero attacks and destroys an enemy, deal 1 damage to another enemy that shares a trait with the enemy just destroyed. Okay, so it's going to be good in against a lot of encounter decks where you're likely to be engaged with 2 enemies at once. That doesn't happen a lot, though. And you'd have to put it on a hero that's attacking and destroying an enemy a lot. That's not Bjorn, because you can't play attachments on him, so maybe Boromir or something like that. I don't think this situation is going to come up as much as one might think at first glance, which makes it probably a niche card. Possibly useful in quests that haven't come out yet, though I don't know. I'd keep it in mind. But it's probably going into the category of other tactics cards that are useful in certain situations but not others. So Trained for War. 2 costs, play only if each hero, so it's a monosphere tactics card. Till the end of the phase, if the current quest does not have siege, it gains battle. Character's quest using battle instead of willpower, so it's attempting to compensate for the weakness of monosphere tactics, which is that they don't quest well. This helps a little, but you'd need multiple cards to really compensate. Probably 6 of this card or a card like it to really compensate for tactics weakness. So this is a start, and we'll keep it in mind if other cards come out. But it doesn't by itself compensate for the weakness of the monosphere tactics. Now, could you run this and say Song of Travel and some spirit questing cards? I don't know. Keep it in mind. I'm intrigued by this monosphere AP. I'm intrigued by Strength of Arms. I'm intrigued by Trained for War. I'm open to the possibility that those are essential cards for certain decks. I can't say for certain that they are right now, but they seem possibly strong. I like them more than Forlong. Mirlonde is interesting too. Yeah, some interesting cards. Some possibilities, we'll say. No guarantees, no slam dunks, but some possibilities for sure. Sylvan Refugee, 1 cost, 2 willpower, 0/0/1. After a character leaves play, discard Sylvan Refugee from play, so it's a conditional 2 for 1. Similar to Escort from Edoras, which is 4 for 2 conditionally. That condition being a one-time use. I like this card a little bit. I'd like it more if it had Rohan synergy. Sylvan synergy, though. I would keep an eye on this card for Sylvan synergy. And it's strong 2 willpower for 1 cost. This has possibilities as well. We got 3 or 4 cards in this AP that have definite possibilities. No slam dunks, but definitely I'd say this is probably on the stronger side in terms of APs, but requires other cards. So it's not going to be like an AP that's super standalone. It's going to be a combo AP with other APs or other expansions, but it's something to keep an eye on for sure. Against the Shadow, 2 cost, play only. Okay, so it's Monosphere Spirit. Till the end of the phase, Spirit characters use their willpower instead of shields. So it's trying to compensate for a weakness of the Spirit Sphere, which is defense. I would say it's very similar to Trained for War, except that more quests require regular questing than shields, so I consider Spirit probably a stronger Monosphere deck than Tactics for most quests. Although there's going to be some that Tactics is good at battle questing. But there's more normal questing than battle. And if you wanted to play your Monosphere Spirit deck against a Siege questing deck for some reason, Siege questing quest, you could throw this card in there. I don't know why you wouldn't just play Tactics, but maybe there's some reason. Maybe Spirit Monosphere becomes super strong or something compared to Tactics, and you don't want to run a deck that's Monosphere and stronger with shielding. You want to run this one. It is a card to keep in mind. Like the others in this set, there's no slam dunks here, but there's a number of cards to keep in mind because they may combine with other cards in interesting ways in the future. Harbormaster, 3 cost, 1/2/0. After a card effect adds any number of resources to the resource pool of a hero, Harbormaster gains 1 shield until the end of the round. That seems bad. It's understated even with its ability, and there's no way really practically to get it to good stats. I wouldn't run it. I'd be surprised to see this in many decks, unless a lot more cards come out that add resources. But resource adding cards are leadership usually. Leadership lore isn't a combo I see a lot. I don't think this card is good. At least not now. Not good. Advance, it's overcosted. If it was 2, it would be great. 2 cost, advanced warning. Play, okay, so it's Monosphere lore. Till the end of the phase, enemies do not make engagement checks. That's not very good, because they just sit in staging. If they didn't attack you once they were engaged, it would be amazing. But just forcing things to stay in the engagement and not reducing their threat isn't very good. This is the weakest of the Monosphere cards. Maybe because Mirland is okay. So each sphere got a decent Monosphere card, and they didn't want to give Lord 2. So this one's kind of weak, maybe? I don't know. Speculation, but just leaving enemies in the staging area isn't typically very good, because they just delay your questing. I mean, there may be specific quests that's useful, but generally that's not a very good effect. White Tower Watchmen, 3 cost, 1/02. If each hero you control, so it's a Monosphere deck for any kind, you may assign damage from undefended enemy attacks to White Tower Watchmen instead of a hero you control. Okay, if you were going to assign damage from an undefended attack to a hero, why wouldn't you just have this ally defend directly? Like, why assign the attack to a hero and then have the White Tower Watchman take it instead of just having the White Tower Watchman take it straight away? What does this ability actually do? Suppose you could take advantage of a hero's greater shields if it had them. It's already got 2 though. This card would make more sense to me if it was like 0 shields and 5 health. That would make more sense. As it is statted currently, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I think that ability's usefulness is extremely niche. It's always good to have a 2 shield 3 health enemy or ally, but for defending. But why wouldn't you just have it defend directly? So I don't think the ability is very useful most of the time. And if you take away the ability, the card is understated for its cost. 3 cost, 102. That's too low. And so it has to be the ability that makes up for it, and the ability doesn't do anything as far as I can tell. Or doesn't do anything very often. So that's not good. So we got some interesting cards. Against the Shadow, Train for War, Sylvan Refugee, Strength of Arms, and Mirlonde are all interesting to me. They may combo with other cards in interesting ways. Keep an eye on them for sure. Now, if this is all we're getting in terms of Monosphere, then this is a very weak adventure pack. This is going to rely on other adventure packs or expansions to determine its worth. But it's got possibilities. So thanks for watching.